And now we're learning of the secret nickname that they were giving her from her podcast coworkers. So here's what it was.
And also her biggest thing was she wanted it to be, more touchy-feely. Some of the old guard, the people I spoke to, the servants, the courtiers, said she's too much of a tree hugger.
And I think what's happened is she's come into the royal family and this archaic system has tried to control her and say, you will do this, you will do that, you will not go here, you will not go there. And she's just said, no, I'm not going to live like that.
The British royal family is no stranger to scandals, controversies, and behind-the-scenes drama. But one of the most shocking revelations comes from the book, Yes, Ma'am, The Secret Life of Royal Servants by Tom Quinn, which exposes the insulting and demeaning nicknames palace staff reportedly used for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. These names weren't just playful jokes, they reflected deep tensions, frustration, and even resentment toward the couple behind closed doors. Were these nicknames justified? Or do they reveal a toxic culture within the royal household? Stick around as we dive into the most scathing palace nicknames for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and uncover the hidden power struggles that led to their infamous royal exit. Hey, quick favor before we continue. If you're enjoying this political content, please take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Most of you watch without subscribing, and it's completely free, but it helps us out a ton. Have you done it yet? Really appreciate the support.
First, let's explore the surprising nicknames given to Prince Harry and Meghan by Kensington Palace staff. A new book reveals some intriguing insights. According to author Tom Quinn's Yes, Ma'am, The Secret Life of Royal Servants, palace employees had a less than flattering nickname for Prince Harry. They compared him to the dim-witted Prince Regent character from the TV series Blackadder. This revelation comes from interviews with former royal staff members. The book also mentions that Meghan Markle was given the nickname Duchess of Difficult by some staff members.
According to Yes, Ma'am, palace staff had a rather unflattering nickname for Prince Harry, the Prince Regent. The name wasn't meant as a compliment. Instead, it was a comparison to the foolish and incompetent Prince Regent from the British sitcom Blackadder. They found Harry to be disorganized, heavily reliant on servants, and out of touch with the real world. Meghan Markle was not spared from the palace's brutal nicknames. Staff reportedly referred to her as the Duchess of Difficult, a jab at what they perceived as her demanding nature and difficulty adapting to royal life. Some sources claim that Meghan's high expectations and direct communication style clashed with the traditional hierarchical way of doing things within the royal household. But perhaps the most bizarre nickname of all was Mystic Meg. This reference, borrowed from a famous British astrologer, was a nod to Meghan's progressive views, spiritual interests, and belief in social activism. Staff reportedly viewed her as someone who embraced modern ideas and unconventional beliefs, something they were not entirely comfortable with.
And now we're learning of the secret nickname that they were giving her from her podcast coworkers. So here's what it was. Meghan Markle earned a not-so-sweet nickname during her time. This is coming in from Neil Sean, correspondent over to Fox News Digital. Secret nickname was given to the Duchess of Sussex by disgruntled former employees who worked on her ill-fated podcast, Archetypes. Ex-staff members told me they decided to christen her Eva, and this was used as a warning signal to let people know that she was either arriving or on the warpath. So they didn't call her something that was so obvious or mean that if she heard it, they'd get fired. Instead, they called her Eva. How great if she knows this and she heard it, but she didn't really make the connection. Well, here's the connection for those that don't know. This wasn't an engaging pet name. The nickname came from the 1955 camp classic Queen Bee, starring the ultimate diva herself, Joan Crawford. This is because, like the Joan character Eva, she stung her victims to pieces. It's exactly how staff felt about working alongside Meghan.
Unfortunately, the palace wasn't the only place to give Meghan an unflattering nickname or two. Back in 2022, Meghan and Harry collaborated with Spotify for their podcast, Archetypes, but their partnership with the platform ended less than a year later. During this time, Meghan's former co-workers reportedly gave her a secret nickname, Eva, as a warning signal whenever she was approaching or in a difficult mood. The name was inspired by the 1955 film Queen Bee, in which Joan Crawford's character, Eva Phillips, was known for her sharp and ruthless demeanor. Staff members allegedly felt that Meghan's behavior mirrored that of the character, describing their experience of working with her as challenging. But that's not all. The book describes how staff witnessed Harry's fiery temper, with sources revealing that he would lose his cool over minor inconveniences. From small mistakes in daily routines to frustrating royal protocols, Harry was known to react disproportionately to even the tiniest issues. Some insiders claimed that his anger would flare up unexpectedly, making it difficult for staff to work with him behind the scenes.
I don't completely agree that Prince William and Prince Harry's hostility towards each other began to develop because of Meghan Markle's cuddliness, hugging, and physicalness when it comes to Prince William. That's what Tom Quinn says. Because Prince Harry himself says the hostility developed because of Prince William accusing Meghan of being a bully. However, I do believe the flirting allegations, which Tom Quinn mentions here, that because Meghan was so affectionate towards Prince William, hugging him every time she saw him, kissing him on the face every time she saw him, it made Prince William uncomfortable, it made the king uncomfortable, and Catherine, the book says that the servants were gossiping, saying that it was inappropriate. They felt like Meghan was flirting with Prince William.
One of the more shocking claims from Yes Ma'am delves into Meghan's interactions with Prince William, suggesting that her behavior raised eyebrows among palace insiders. According to the book, some staff members believed Meghan had a habit of flirting with William, which reportedly did not sit well with Kate Middleton. The alleged moments were subtle, laughs that lingered too long, playful touches, and an ease in conversation that some saw as crossing the line of typical royal decorum. The book highlights Harry's long-standing frustrations with the rigid structure of the royal institution. He reportedly felt trapped by royal traditions and struggled with the monarchy's hierarchical system. His frustrations only grew over the years, culminating in his dramatic decision to step back from royal duties in 2020. Perhaps one of the most defining aspects of Harry's life post-Megxit is his unwavering loyalty to Meghan. The book suggests that he often clashed with royal expectations because of his deep commitment to his wife, which some palace insiders saw as a threat to the status quo. Critics believed that Meghan's influence pushed Harry toward a more activist-driven path, shifting him away from the reserved and traditional image expected of royals.
There has always been this competition between us, weirdly. Again, I think it really plays into, or is played by, the heir spare, and the British press's part in that. Right? They pitched the Waleses, right, of which Kate and William are now, against the Sussexes, me and my wife. They always pitched us against each other. They pitched Kate and Meghan against each other.
So when they pitched them against each other, do you think that it made them kind of go against each other?
Yeah, I mean, without question.
And then there's the divide between public perception and private reality. The book suggests that some royals may present a kind and polished image to the public, but behind closed doors, their true personalities emerge, something only palace staff would witness. Was Harry one of them? One of the biggest changes observed in Prince Harry after marrying Meghan Markle was his growing sense of independence from the royal family. Insiders claim that before marriage, Harry often conformed to royal traditions without much resistance. However, post-marriage, he seemed more willing to challenge authority, prioritize personal happiness over duty, and question the royal family's strict protocols. His decision to step away from his royal role was seen by many as a direct result of this transformation. But was this a natural progression, or was Meghan the catalyst behind it? Meghan Markle reportedly struggled with the deeply entrenched hierarchical structure of the British royal family.
Right from the beginning, before they even had a chance to get to know her. And the UK press jumped on that, and here we are.
And what was that based on, that mistrust?
The fact that she was American, an actress, divorced, black, biracial, with a black mother. Those were just 4 of the typical stereotypes that becomes a feeding frenzy for the British press.
But all those things within the family also were sources of mistrust.
Yes, my family read the tabloids. It's laid out at breakfast when everyone comes together. So whether you walk around saying you believe it or not, it's still leaving an imprint in your mind. So if you have that judgment based on a stereotype right at the beginning, it's very, very hard to get over that. And a large part of it for the family, but also the British press and numerous other people, is like, he's changed. She must be a witch. He's changed. As opposed to, yeah, I did change, and I'm really glad I changed,
Coming from Hollywood, where merit and personal influence often dictate success, she found it difficult to accept a system where birthright determined status. Insiders claim she was frustrated by the expectation to defer to more senior royals, regardless of her own initiatives or efforts. This discomfort likely contributed to her eventual decision to leave royal life behind and seek a more independent existence in the US. Beyond hierarchy, Meghan reportedly found royal protocols stifling and outdated. From strict wardrobe guidelines to formal dining etiquette, she struggled to adjust to the numerous unspoken rules that govern royal life. One insider mentioned that Meghan once expressed frustration over the need to curtsy even in private settings, questioning why such traditions persisted in modern times. Her American upbringing, which embraced informality and direct communication, often clashed with the British royal family's more reserved customs, making her transition into royal life a difficult one.
The latest classification for Meghan, a royal author, says that she's just like Wallis Simpson, very manipulative, very controlling. Do you think that's a fair description of Meghan, Alex?
Look, I don't know Meghan personally, right? And without sounding like a woke Me Too movement social justice warrior, I don't know her. So maybe this is just a huge pile-on through a misogynistic lens. But she seems like a bit of a nutter, doesn't she? Let's be fair. She seems pretty narcissistic and constantly in acting mode. But who do I know? I don't know the woman. But the fact that, if you're in a relationship with someone, moving them to the other side of the world, enabling them to cut off all ties with their old life, their past, their family. If you love someone in a relationship, you're the one trying to build bridges. You're the one saying, do you think you should do that? And the fact that she sat there within that Oprah interview, looking like she was the deer in the headlights going, oh, people will wave this towards me. I'm like, come on, if you love the man, really, and if you want to build bridges, you don't go to one of the biggest news anchors in America, so chat show hosts, and sit down and start slagging off his family. So, just on empirical evidence, let's say, I think she's
Here's what I think.
Unpleasant person.
As Harry distanced himself from the royal family, his dependency on Meghan reportedly grew. Sources claim that Meghan became his primary source of guidance and emotional support, helping him navigate the complexities of life outside the royal institution. Some critics argue that Harry's increasing reliance on Meghan influenced many of his decisions, from stepping back as a senior royal to embracing new public roles and media ventures. Whether this dependency is seen as a sign of a strong partnership or a point of concern remains a topic of debate.
It's clear that people came to you because you think they wanted to correct the narrative that's been formed.
Yes, I've spoken to several people over the last couple of weeks, and they're motivated by two things. One is their concern for the people that feel they've been bullied by the Duchess of Sussex while they worked for her. There are bruised and battered people out there who are some of them are still in quite a fragile state, and their voices haven't been heard. And the second motivation is, yes, it's affected by the Oprah interview. The Duchess is doing a very effective job of getting her narrative out there. She's portraying herself as someone who's a victim, someone who is treated badly by the royal family, and we'll hear more of that when she speaks to Oprah. But I think there's another side to things. Relations with staff when she was in the palace, and also how she behaved when she was at the palace. I mean, people I've spoken to, several of them have independently talked to me about how actually she wanted to be a victim from day one. It's as if, they argue, actually she was always planning to get out, that she portrays to Harry that their life is unbearable and the only solution is to pick up sticks and go to North America.
Reports suggest that tensions between Meghan and palace staff escalated to the point where some employees felt mistreated. Meghan's interactions with certain royal aides created a difficult and stressful work environment, with some staff members allegedly feeling pressured or belittled. While opinions differ on whether this was due to Meghan's management style or broader palace dynamics, the impact on staff morale was reportedly significant. The book also reveals that Meghan found the rigid structure of royal life stifling. The constant scrutiny, lack of control over her own narrative, and intense public pressure reportedly took a toll on her mental and emotional well-being. Combined with the frosty reception from some palace aides, it's no wonder that Meghan and Harry eventually made the controversial decision to step back from their senior royal roles. At the heart of these nicknames lies a much deeper issue: the rigid and often unforgiving nature of royal life. Whether you believe the palace staff's assessments were fair or unnecessarily cruel, one thing is clear: the tension between Meghan, Harry, and the royal institution was palpable from the start. Were these nicknames simply lighthearted jabs? Or do they reflect a more toxic culture within the palace? And what do they reveal about how Meghan and Harry were perceived behind closed doors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think these nicknames were justified? Or were they just another way to tear down Harry and Meghan? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the world's most talked about royals.